KCGM-TV presents, in association with the Nightscout Foundation, Are We There Yet? In T1 Tech. Tonight our special guest is Jesus Berian. Jesus is a developer from Spain. He's the Medtronic for Nightscout admin, and he's also a member of both the Spain and UK Nightscout faculties. Jesus was the first to bring to our community a long-awaited Medtronic solution. So without further ado, please welcome Jesus Berian. Jesus, how are you doing tonight?
Fine, and you?
Pretty good. Can you give us a little background on who Jesus is?
Well, Jesus, as you say, is a Spanish type 1 diabetic who was diagnosed at the age of 18 years old and who works as an engineer for a big company, a defense company in Spain, electronics mainly. And, well, that's it. I'm a regular guy. I'm like everybody else.
And could you tell us a little about your family?
Well, I'm married to Soraya, a wonderful woman, and we both have a kid, Jesus, as me. And by now, he's not a type 1, so I'm grateful for that. And that's it, mainly. We live here in Madrid, and we're happy.
Hopefully we have a few more people from Europe joining us, as this is going to be between 7 and 10 o'clock, depending upon where you are in Europe. But that's if your team is not playing in the football championship. So there's always something. Our first episode was up against the NBA finals. So,
Yeah.
But anyways, this will be recorded for future reference. What was your motivation for coming up with a Medtronic solution for Nightscout?
Well, many people think that I started developing this solution because of Nightscout, and it wasn't like that. I got my first insulin pump in 2008, and in 2010 I used for the first time an Enlight. My hospital borrowed me one, and lent me one, and I started working with it and feeling, by that time I was on MDI, and in 2 years everything changed for me. From just using my glucometer and taking a few numbers in a day, 6, 8 readings in a day, to having one reading every 5 minutes, everything changed. As an engineer, I thought that having such huge information available for me in my pump, I couldn't understand how the pump was not, regulating my insulins. I wanted an artificial pancreas. When I first tried the Enlights, I thought that what I was getting was an artificial pancreas. And it wasn't like that. So I said, okay, I'm an engineer in electronics, and I do control loops nearly every day. So this is not that difficult. So I said, okay, I didn't know any diabetic but me in the world. I knew there were many millions, unfortunately, but I didn't know anybody with diabetes. So I decided that I had to do something for me. And so I did. I said, okay, I have this information, I have this tool. I need to control it. I need to get these numbers, and I need to control my insulin pump. I needed to do something, and I had this curling USB to upload my data into the website, and say, okay, I know I have like small pieces of my artificial pancreas, but they're not connect connected the way they should be. So I can do that. I started playing with my CurveLink USB, trying to get information from my pump, and I did, but that wasn't enough. For instance, I couldn't get my readings from my glucometer in real time. I couldn't get the info from being transmitted from the end lights directly. So I said, okay, this is not the way. I need more information. So I started developing that for my artificial pancreas. I didn't know about Nightscout yet. I started working on it and hacking everything I could, and I did it. And I remember that it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I don't remember. I got for the first time the readings from my end light on my PC directly using my own hardware. That was amazing for me. You know, I was getting info, I could control my pump, so I was very close to closing the loop. I didn't know that. Unfortunately, there are many things more than getting the info. But anyway, I was happy about it. And I remember that summer I went to the beach with my wife. She was pregnant by that time. And I remember being at the beach, you know, bored, completely bored. And I took my iPhone and said, okay, what can I do? I'm going to search for hacking things and diabetes. And I found out, you know, an article about John Kostick. You know, this hacker has hacked Dexcom and he's hacking this system for his kid, and said, oh my God, this is pretty much what I'm doing for Medtronic. So I thought that, you know, I was diagnosed at the age of 18. So my diabetes is totally different to the diabetes that, you know, a kid could suffer.
Right.
So I started thinking about, well, what would it be like to have a kid with diabetes? My wife was pregnant, you know, by my side, and said, okay, I don't want my kid to be diabetic in any way, but how could that be? I couldn't think about it. So I said, okay, I understand this parent. I totally understand it. And said, okay, I'm going to find out more about Nightscout and what this is all about. Maybe they have done things like what I'm doing right now. So I sent him an email. I'm sure John will remember this. I sent him an email. It was 2 p.m. here in Spain. So for John, it was early morning. And sent him an email. Okay, John, I have read about this and about you. I'm a Spanish engineer. I don't know if you're interested in this, but I have this technology. I have developed this technology to get information from Medtronic. And I have seen in your Facebook group in CGM in the cloud that many people are asking for this. Right. I don't have a solution to upload this data into the cloud right now. But I have this technology, and I think we can do it. Are you interested? I think it took John like 5 minutes to answer me. I was amazed and said, well, this can be huge. And that's where and when we started to think about the solution for Medtronic and Nightscout. But at the beginning, I developed everything to build my own artificial pancreas. That's how everything started.
So that was about 7 years from the time you started, 2008 until the time. Did it debut in 2015 or was it 2014?
I don't remember. I think it was 2014.
I just remember one morning and waking up and we had the big graphic that you had made that said Medtronic loves Nightscout. Now, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that Medtronic gave you approval. You asked Medtronic for approval. And so here's the irony. With all the problems we have with Medtronic, with the insurance and whatnot. And with all of the people that the We Are Not Waiting community have been asking for help from the different vendors, you asked and Medtronic gave you approval to do this project.
Well, to be precise, they didn't prohibit it to me.
Right. We call that a home run. They did have a caveat, though.
Yeah. I was very concerned about, publishing things that could get me into trouble. I'm very concerned. Many people will remember. There was in Facebook, in our group, there was a post that started a couple lawyers in the U.S. I don't remember who.
I think Ed Raskin.
Could be. And I expressed my concerns about, this kind of things. What could happen to us? Because, many people could take advantage of having this technology. But if Medtronic, for instance, would sue someone, that would be me.
Right.
And I want to help people, not to get into trouble with, big billion, how was that? It was billions of dollars, I think, company, a billion companies. In Spanish, the translation is a little bit different.
But anyway, company.
I didn't want to mess with Medtronic. So I remember exchanging some emails with John Kostick and others that knew people from Medtronic. And somehow we got to a man, I don't remember his name, but I said, okay, guy from Medtronic, I have this. I don't want to make a single dollar from this. I just want to help people. And I think that there's no risk in publishing this, but it would be great if you allow me to do it. It took like 2 weeks to get an answer. And it was that, okay, this is the first time that something like this happens to us. I have the email somewhere. And we are okay with that. But we won't sue you for this. But if someone sues us, we will look for you. So, well, to be fair, that's fair. I think it's fair, okay? If there's a problem and it has nothing to do with them,
right?
Yeah, well, it's fair. And yes, so I was allowed to publish it, and like a week later, after that, we posted the Medtronic Loves Nightscout or Nightscout Loves Medtronic. I don't remember post, but yeah, Medtronic did allow us to publish it. Maybe, I guess, they were thinking about the 640G and their encryption. So they said, okay, many people are moving to our next generation for insulin pumps. So there's no risk, really. So why don't allow that?
So they were looking at everybody eventually adopting the 640G. So it was like, sure, go ahead, knock yourself out with our old equipment.
Yeah.
Now here's a question. You started this out in 2008 to create an artificial pancreas. Do you currently use an artificial pancreas? Do you use open APS or anything like that?
Unfortunately, not. Because when I started it, I had an old Medtronic pump. But as you know, to use open APS, you need an old firmware.
2.4.
Yeah, 2.4 in the US, 2.6 in Europe.
Oh, okay.
So my insulin pump had a problem and it was replaced. And now I have a perfectly 3 something firmware. So I cannot command boluses or 10 basals,
right,
things like that. So I'm stuck right now with that. I think in 1 month or 2 months, I will get the 640G in Spain. So maybe with the 640G, we will be able to do something. I don't remember. I hope so.
Speaking of the 640G, this is our first part on Medtronic. In 2 weeks, on the 30th of June, we'll be talking with the 640G crew. That's Matt and Tom from the UK and Leonard from Australia. And
Awesome.
they're also working in the group for Nightscout for Medtronic, correct?
Yeah.
How many solutions do you have for Medtronic?
Yeah, for all Medtronic devices, here in Spain, well, for Nightscout, we have, the Commander, which was the first one that I published 2 years ago or 1 year ago.
Right.
In the US, I think you have Medtronic Connect.
Oh, correct. I think Mark Wilson, did he not do a bridge? That's now written into Nightscout.
There's a bridge, yeah. Yeah, there's a bridge for Medtronic Connect. We can talk about that later, but I know there are many people looking for a Medtronic Connect solution for Android, right?
It's huge. It's one of the biggest questions on the Medtronic Facebook group.
Yeah,
They're upset that Medtronic has pushed that project.
I understand. And and for the 640G, we have two solutions. We have the Matt Guy one, the first one, and the Leonard's one, which is awesome, by the way. And very recently, I started developing a new solution for the old Medtronic devices. Because, many people are using the Commander, which has been working great, but as the old brick for the Dexcom, they have this USB cord, and the Commander, it's quite big, and maybe there are better ways to transmit information nowadays. Like Bluetooth X-Strip for Dexcom has been a huge improvement, as you know.
Right.
So talking to one friend one day, he asked me, okay, cannot like an X-Strip from Medtronic be done? And I said, well, why not? That would be the M-Drip. The M-Drip.
Nice.
This is the first time that I talk about it publicly. This is the M-Drip. I asked Stephen Black for permission to use the drip, and he was fine. So I have the first beta of the M-Drip, and it works using Bluetooth low energy as the X-Strip, exactly the same. And how it had to be, many people will recognize this. This, right? X-Strip. Yeah, X-Strip. Hardware. Look at the bottom.
Oh, there we go, M-Drip. Now, is this board do both X-Strip and M-Drip, like an all-in-one?
What I expect to have is only one app for Android, which would be X-Drip, and add a module to connect to the M-Drip as it works with the X-Strip, so that you can have, with only one solution for Android, you can have everything. I don't know with Medtronic Connect, but what I plan to do with this is to add raw data capability also. I'm working on it right now. So I have the same exact numbers that you have on the pump and raw data. You also have the glucometer readings using Bluetooth. And if someone is interested in helping me, I'm trying to prepare the software to be able to run something like OpenAPS if you only use Medtronic solutions. Okay, if you have the N-lights and you have the insulin pump, we could build a software package that could enable you to build something like OpenAPS to command temp basals. You know, and I say that I need help for that because, as I said before, my pump does not recognize those commands anymore. Right. So I will publish it. Well, if you look in my GitHub account, there's a repo. The mdrip repo is there. You know, there should be a document, the install PDF, that I have to write it down, but I haven't had time yet. But well, the software is there, the APK for Android is there, but just remember, okay, if anyone is interested in this, this is still beta and has bugs. I have to debug the code, okay? But I plan to have an alpha version for, you know, in a couple of weeks, maybe.
Wonderful.
Hope so.
Awesome. Well, now I know that in the UK you showed me a board that had both X-Drip and M-Drip on it. Is that what you're showing here, or is this specifically M-Drip?
No, this is M-Drip, and this is made up of different boards, like the X-Drip. You have a HM10 module for Bluetooth. You have the battery and the LiPo charger, and instead of the Wixel, you have the CC1101 dongle. But this is like an X-Drip. The parts are the same, but for the Wixel.
It's different. Well, that's fantastic. So that's the official debut of M-Drip, as David Wright has spoken here. Yep. Well, now, Nightscout Spain. Let's talk a little bit about Nightscout Spain. For lots of months, there were like 9 people in Nightscout Spain, and you're over 500 now, and it happened relatively quickly. What did you folks do in the Spain faculty in order to increase the numbers of the group members?
Well, we met in November, right, in London. It was
it was the end of October, Halloween. Yes.
Yeah. So it was in February, I think, this year. Yeah, February. In Madrid, we had an event. It was the Diabetes Experience Day, 2016, and it was an event with small conferences about technology and diabetes, and well, many things about diabetes, not only technology. And we knew about it, and we sent them an email saying, hey, I don't know if you know about Nightscout. We're here. We want to show to people what we're doing, how this technology can help many people. So it would be great if you could let us, speak at your event. And somehow they found a place and in time to let us talk about Nightscout. And it was great because many, many people didn't know about us. And
right.
We had a small debate about technology, and many people argued about why their endocrines and their doctor didn't tell them about this technology, and said, well, it's pretty new, so maybe they don't know about it yet. And from that moment, many, many people started talking about Nightscout and entering the group, and, one mother talks to another, and then to a doctor, and that doctor knows about Nightscout, and, this is exponential. And from that time, many people have asked us for interviews in papers and magazines, and thanks to them, our group grew up to, 500?
It's over 500.
Over 500.
Because I know you've got a certificate coming when we do our... Tomorrow we do our monthly count, worldwide count. So, and then in Nightscout for Medtronic, you have over 900 people. And so the Nightscout Spain faculty is actually hosting a Nightscout Conference, specifically a Nightscout Conference at the university, which I'm going to guess may be the first of its kind, because we usually participate in other conferences already in progress, but you folks are doing the entire show.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about the conference.
Well, I don't know if you can share the poster. I think I did it some time ago.
After I do the post edit, I'll put the poster in here.
Okay. Well, it was a idea. We had to do something when the group started to grow. Many people were asking for information and how they can. Well, many people have problems with the language. Everything is in English, which is fine for many people, but in Spain, people tend to have problems with that. So many people said, okay, we know there are lots of information on the website or Facebook group, but we don't understand a word. So we said, okay, maybe if we create an event somehow to help people and to let people know about this and how everything works would be great. So as time passed, everything was real, little by little.
It started coming together.
We talked with some people at the university and said, okay, this is huge for us, and I have friends at the university, and they said, okay, this is technology, so we will do the conference at the Polytechnic school here at the university. So they would be great. It would be great if you do it at our university. So we did it. We created that. The university has, let us use I don't know the term in English, but the Sala de Grados is the grades room. I don't know. It's a big room. It's a really big room. You have space for more than 100 people.
Okay, lecture hall.
Yeah, could be. So we said, okay, we have to make a conference to speak about what Nightscout is, how everything works, how it can help families and doctors and everything, even yourself if you're type 1. And after that, we thought that we needed a space to help people to build it. So they also let us use some labs, some laboratories at the university, electronics laboratory with internet access, solders, and everything.
Nice.
So that people can go there with us to help them to build a system with us. And I think that is going to be the best part, because people will really understand what this is all about. And they will learn to build the system from scratch. And that way they can help others.
Right.
So
you have to understand it in order to pay it forward.
Yeah. That's what we plan.
That's fantastic. And that's July 1st?
July 1st, yeah.
Well, that's really, really amazing. One of the best parts about the Children with Diabetes Friends for Life conference in the UK was that the UK faculty became very, very outgoing, setting up meetings, sharing the information with Nightscout, with Kev and Kate and Stuart and everyone. Plus, you went back to Spain, set up a local Nightscout faculty, and you folks took off. And you can tell in the numbers in the groups that there's a lot of families being helped, a lot of families being reached, which is just amazing. So once upon a time, there was no Medtronic solution, and now there's not only one, but we have multiple.
Yep.
So that all sounds wonderful. Well, let's go to the questions, see if anyone online has a question. I know we've got Elena. She's been commenting. Does anyone have any questions for Jesus?
Everything is pretty clear.
Yes. Actually, our admin for the Russian group, Fedor, says maybe not appropriate here, but is there any perspective for other pump systems as far as open APS goes? AccuCheck combo for one. I'm going to say that Open APS will work with anyone that gives them that information. Usually the first stops, the AccuCheck is not available in the States, is it?
I don't know.
The first thing is getting the pump in the hands of the developers. So that would probably be step one, is to make sure that someone on the Open APS team, and you could probably go to Gitter and ask that question, because they've got almost every pump going, and there may be someone trying to work on the AccuCheck. So I would recommend going to Intent to Bolus. Mariana, who will be her husband and herself, will be the new admins for Nightscout Mexico. She says, no questions, but congratulations and gracias. We're following example and steps from Mexico, as per language issues clearly identified here too. That's true. You know, not only is it tech-based, the language, but then if it's not in your native language, you know, it would be like anyone in the States trying to set it up in Portuguese.
Yeah.
It'd be like everybody that speaks Portuguese is going to have an advantage, but even if you speak the other language, that doesn't mean you're immersed in the tech jargon portion of that other language. It reminds me of when we took we were in South America and we had to take our Renault in for service. And we'd been living there a while. We didn't have any real problems with the language. And we popped the hood and started talking to the mechanic. And the first thing dawned on me was I have no idea what the Spanish words are for all of the parts under the hood. So in your own language is a huge advantage. And that's why you folks doing Nightscout Spain and Mariana and Jorge doing Nightscout Mexico, these are really great things. And that will bring us to 31, and then there's 2 additional countries waiting to go. So 32, and last count we had 25,500 members worldwide. So those are all really great things. We've got another question in. It says, are there any project ideas on how to hack the Medtronic pumps with a blocked firmware? The 754-640G. Have you heard of anyone trying to... I've actually heard of people trying to flash the firmware. Change the firmware, so change it back. They're actually asking for pumps. They need pumps in order to do that. So that's another question. If you go to Gitter, to the Open APS groups, you can get more information on that, because I do know that one of the developers publicly asked for pumps so that they could practice flashing and see how far they can get. Right now it's equipment that they lack. Because the minute they can flash a 640G, that opens up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
A lot of possibilities.
Yeah, and security issues too. But, you know.
Those abound. And there's also a new FDA program. The FDA has specifically come out with a new small project, small business group in order to meet frequently with everyone doing open APS type of things. And that's something that did not exist prior. When Ben West met with the FDA, they were expecting him to go through all of the hoops that Medtronic billion-dollar companies would go through, and that's just not feasible for a small group. So that's an interesting thing. They didn't react fast enough for Nightscout. That genie got out of the bottle, and the open APS genie is getting out of the bottle as we speak. So by them doing these new projects, it shows that they do not want to get left behind on the second round of what we have going. It sounds like your little guy is asleep now.
Yeah, fortunately, he's asleep.
So we will bid you adieu and talk to you later. Thank you so much for joining us, Jesus.
Thank you very much for your time and for your patience with my English. I know it's not the best.
We'd like to thank our guest Jesus Berian for speaking with us today and for being another great example of paying it forward. This has been a Nightscout Foundation production. Come change the world with us. Learn more at nightscoutfoundation.org. In association with the Coexist movement, let your voice be heard while you still have a choice. And in association with CGM in the Cloud, open source, open data, open hearts, caring for you and your loved ones around the world and around the clock. We now return you to your regularly scheduled life, already in progress.